Hi guys, welcome back to another video about the latest 2026 January build of WinlatorXR. This is going to be showing off a brand new fork of Opentrack, which is Opentrack WXR from Bigelod of the Halo WXR fame. So right now I'm in GTR2, which is an old PC racing simulator. I'm not connected to Wi-Fi, I'm not connected to my PC at all. This is purely on the headset running native. And what I'm going to be able to do here is just jump straight into a car and do a dramatic reveal in a second. I'll give you a bit of a backstory as to why I'm so excited about this. So, long before VR existed, I was playing racing simulators with TRACKIR 4 Pro. So that meant I could turn my head in real world and have the game itself on my monitor reflect that movement. So without further ado, I'm going to turn my head and show you it's reflecting my movement. Let me check on the pass-through because I'm blown away every time this happens. So I can check my mirrors just as I did 20 years ago on TRACKIR 4 Pro in the same game. Obviously back then I couldn't run the game at 140 FPS or whatever out of pass-through. So let me turn it off. 140 FPS with the recording going on headset at 1080p max graphics. I couldn't do that back then. This blows my mind. So anyone that's not aware of what TRACKIR is, it is just a sensor that went on top of your monitor, and then you'd wear a reflective strip on a hat or a microphone so it could track you in 6th. So this is 6th. It's not full VR freedom, but it's got enough movement there to be able to move around comfortably, left to right, tilt your head, go up, go down, and then obviously look left to right. Opentrack does have scales that you can adjust to be able to change that, but out of the box in a racing simulator like this, checking the mirrors is completely natural. The game's obviously got all of the inputs you can do, so I've got mouse steer, so that's actually my steering like this. I've got accelerate, I've got brake. I can play it with just the motion controllers. That's pretty cool. So going further into this, what WinlatorXR allows is, especially in the new update, there's a new magnifier, which I can just demonstrate by clicking that. So I can still keep this as a monitor, if you will, that I'm looking at, but obviously have a almost like VR view of being able to check the mirrors and getting a bit closer to the screen. Because of the performance headroom that I've got available here, especially when I take off the pass-through, what I could actually do is inject Reshade 3D into this to make it a 3D image. That combined with the 6th is already going to blow my mind. But the next thing you can do in WinlatorXR is clicking the left stick in to make it an immersive mode, which is already available. So rather than it be tied to mouse look up, down, left, right, like the normal freed off immersive mode does, when Opentrack WXR is active, it keeps the Opentrack situation running. So you've got 6th in a wrapped around VR view. Obviously, I'm just recenting myself here just how it's normally supposed to look. It blows my mind that you can do this completely natively, standalone on a headset. Absolutely nuts. So let me jump back out of that, be able to show you what's going on. I'm going to cover how to set this up now because I imagine people are going to be rushing to check out all of the games that they've already tested. Euro Truck Simulator, Flight Sim, GTR2, GT Legends, Test Drive Unlimited. Any game that supports TRACKIR will work with this. So this is awesome. It's such a cool update. And again, this is all locally. There's no PC involved. PC's not even on. Everything's on the headset. So without going for a drive here and showing you just how good I am as a driver, I'm going to exit out of the game and the container and go back into the Pico OS and WinlatorXR. So if you haven't already updated WinlatorXR, get the latest version from SideQuest, and it should now look like this. That's how you're going to know you're on the latest version. And I will link Opentrack WXR in the video description to be able to get that and get that set up. So let me just go over the basics of what people are going to need to do. You create a container as you normally would. In my case, it's going to be a x86 container, so Proton 9 x86. Set that up as you normally would. Just get yourself up and running. And when you go into that, you can install, or rather run the Opentrack WXR setup. So Let me dive into my D drive, which is the download folder. If you haven't already followed the guide how to get WinLator set up, I would recommend doing that. The difference in this video is it's all an x86 container. So system tools, Mono installer, Gecko installer, do those before you start, because that's going to just make life easy. And then if you are doing things like me, running games off a hard drive, then you need to install VC runtimes separately. But the easy part is getting the OpentrackWXR WXR in the video description, running it. So just open it, and nothing's going to happen here. It won't open. That is completely normal. Don't panic. What's going to happen is it's going to go into the bottom right hand corner of your container. You can just right click this, which is the right grip trigger on the controller, and show the octopus. So I'm going to stop the tracking here just so it shows what you would normally see. First of all, the first time you start this, I would recommend just going to the input field here and making sure WXR track is selected. I think there's a bug right now that doesn't automatically set this, but it will be fixed. Everything else you don't really need to touch. You can mess with the filter. I personally leave that on Hamilton just to translate a little bit more natural to my head. It has been tuned a little bit for that. And yeah, you can just set up OpenTrack as you normally would on a PC. But being that I presume people are new to this, there's only a few things you really need to do. So if I go into the options, you've got the center binding. You can just click that. I personally put this to space, which is just the left grip trigger, left controller grip trigger, and that will rebind it to the space bar. So going to output. On this, I find that most of the games are perfectly fine. The only thing I get caught out with on some stuff like Dirt Free is the roll gets inverted. That's very easy fix. All you have to do is click the post invert tick box, and that will change the roll. So rather than it be sort of the right eye going higher in game and like it looking like you're doing it the opposite way, it just inverts the feed and corrects it for you. Super simple, and again, you can do profiles, which I'll get to in a second, that makes it easy to do this. So game detection, this is where it gets not complex, but it's nice and easy to set up once you're done. So as you can see, I've already got GTR2 here. So I've got this on the actual storage of the headset. And all I would need to do then is click the three dots and find the executable for that game, add in GTR2 exe here, and then you can select a default profile to load. So at the minute I've only got the one default ini, but like I said, with the output, if that was a game that required me to do the inversion, all I would do in that case is close out of the options, go to the profile, create a new copied profile, which you can just take from the actual default. Just name that whatever you want. I'll just open the keyboard quick. So test. And now I've got test ini, and then whatever changes I make within the options are saved to that test ini. So for example, I want to do the roll as an inversion. I'll then go to game detection, set that as test ini, and then that game is going to automatically fire up the tracking and do the inversion for me. Super simple. That just means if you are testing other games, you can just do a little bit of housekeeping the one time and have it all set up ready to go for you. So not much else you need to mess with unless you really want to get into the nitty-gritty here, but yeah, we're pretty much good to go. I can set that back to how it normally was. If you were starting your game from the container desktop like this right now, then you would want to start the tracking. However, if you binded your spacebar, clicking the spacebar right now is going to stop because of what the window is doing. It's got two functions of start, stop, and whacking the spacebar is essentially pressing the stop button. But you can see the octopus working, going left to right, up and down, like this. It's pretty cool. So you know it's working, and if you had a game that's obviously TRACKIR supported, you could just launch into the exe right now and do it this way. However, there is a better way to do this for anyone that's using WinlatorXR and wants game shortcuts as well. So without further ado, let me exit out of this. Now you know how to set that up. I'm going to exit the container and cover how to do the game setup. So providing you've already created a shortcut to the exe of your game, so in my case GTR2, I've set up in my container to be able to recognize the GTR2 EXE and load the profile I want for OpenTrack. The game EXE is being made as a shortcut, and provided you've done that correctly as per the old WinlatorXR setup guide, it's showing here. I can go into the three dots, go to settings, set up everything I need to on the actual game, but the main one we're interested in for OpenTrack is using a secondary executable. So you can do that. It does need typing out the directory that you have the OpentrackWXR EXE saved to on your headset. So the D drive is always a download folder. Put everything in the download folder. And if anyone wants an example, that is how my directory looks, just by the normal folder that was unzipped. So Opentrack_WXR, OpentrackWXR EXE. And with that, I've set a delayed execution of 5 seconds. So after 5 seconds, OpentrackWXR EXE is going to open. And because it's opening as a minimized taskbar, it shouldn't interfere with the game. If it does, then there's something that you can do. I'll just cover that very briefly here. So GTR2 actually takes a little while to fire up itself. So it's, again, the mouse is going here, nothing shows. In some cases, like GT Legends, for whatever reason, even though it's the same engine, when I launch the game, it will then close out. So it looks like nothing's running. I can hear the game running, and it's closed out because after the 5 seconds, the actual OpenTrack process has started. And again, I could just demonstrate that here. Go into a task manager so you see the game briefly flashed up. If you need to get back to your game, in the case that obviously it does this, where you can hear it in the background but you can't see it, simply click the right stick in, go to your task manager. You can confirm OpenTrack's running, your game's running, TRACKIR is running. Simply go to your applications, go to the game itself, highlight it, and go to switch to. And that gets you back into your game, where you can just recenter yourself here. And that's it. Please let me know what games you've got working. And please put some feedback into the WinlatorXR subreddit. So I'll be sharing all of the games that I test there. And after a while, I'll imagine the community can even share the actual configuration INI files of all the inversions and stuff needed, ready to load within WinlatorXR. So there's, again, a really, really cool feature natively implemented between Bigelod and Boss. Absolute legends. Just never thought I'd see the day where I can just go back to seeing what TRACKIR was like using a VR headset, and finally combining everything together with the 3D and the immersive mode to have essentially a VR version of the game that's never had VR before. So very, very cool. Very thankful. Check it out, guys. Everything's going to be in the video description. All the links you need, all the parts. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Thank you, the boss. Thank you, Bigelod. Cheers.